The rumored 16-inch MacBook Pro has finally become a reality. So let's dive right in and take a look at this device in performance, design, gaming, and professional applications. The 16-inch MacBook Pro retains the design of the previous generation MacBook, including the touch bar. The escape key is now separated from the touch bar, and the Touch ID has also been separated. There's a new scissor switch style Magic Keyboard, and it's a very pleasant typing experience. Let's hear how it sounds. The laptop features ultra narrow bezels on the left and right, and decently narrow bezels on the top and bottom of the display. The laptop has a very nice display with a 500 nit brightness, P3 color gamut, a 3072 by 1920 resolution, IPS panel, and pretty good viewing angles. The port configuration is still the same with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports and a headphone jack. There are also vents on both sides of the laptop. Speaking of ports, you're definitely going to want a dongle such as this one that has Ethernet and USB to Type-C. Or you can get something like this, which came with my Note 10, which is a Type-C to Type-A converter. If you're like me and don't want to spend $5,000 on an XDR display and you still have a Thunderbolt display, you can get an adapter to continue to use your Thunderbolt display. In terms of the webcam, it has a 720p webcam, unfortunately, and not a 1080p. And the microphone is supposed to be professional level, so this is how my voice sounds right now using the internal microphone. It's not too bad, actually. In terms of the speakers, I'm impressed. The 6-speaker system on this is really good and probably one of the best I've ever tried in any laptop, and I've tried some monster laptops. So let's take a listen to how it sounds. Alright, time for some gaming. So I'm gonna load up Windows 10 so we can play some games because macOS isn't that great for gaming. So let's go ahead and try out some games. Let's start off with Overwatch, which is a very lightweight game and not too demanding. So we got 73 FPS at native resolution on the high preset. At 1080p Ultra, we were able to get 100 FPS. However, looking at temperatures, we hit 84 on the GPU and 80.7 on the CPU, so the computer did run a little bit hot. Next, we're going to try out Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is a more demanding game and should cause the temps to go up even more as well. So as you can see, we got 26 FPS at native resolution on the medium preset, which isn't playable, but at 1080p medium, we're able to get 59 FPS, which is definitely playable. Looking at the temperatures, we hit 87 on the GPU and 91 on the CPU, so it's definitely starting to get a little bit toasty. Now let's hear the fan noise and try out Call of Duty. Call of Duty performed well at 49 FPS at native resolution with low settings and no anti-aliasing or ambient occlusion. At 1080p high, we were able to get 72 FPS and the game was definitely playable on those settings. Looking at temperatures, we hit 89 on the GPU and 93 on the CPU, so it's definitely running too hot for my taste. Now for some benchmarks. I'm going to include my Alienware laptop, which has a 9900K, and I have a Radeon 7 hooked up to the eGPU for comparison. We're going to start with Firestrike. Firestrike is a DirectX 11 benchmark, so it shows a pretty good comparison of the GPU performance. And as you can see, we got a pretty good GPU score. This is actually not bad for a GPU in a Mac. Next off, we're going to try TimeSpy. TimeSpy is a DX12 title, so it kind of represents more modern engines. And it didn't do as well as Firestrike did, but it's still a decent score. Next off, we have Cinebench R20. I ran this both in Windows and in Mac to see if there's any performance difference between them. And as you can see, we got 3550 in Mac OS and 3362 in Windows. My 9900K got 4851. This is not bad. Next up, for Geekbench 4, we got 29K for multi and 5.5K for single core. For Geekbench 5 GPU, on OpenSeal 26K, and on the Metal we got around 25K. Now, on the Geekbench 5 benchmark, I included my Alienware laptop. For single core, we did pretty good on the MacBook. For multi-core, because of the higher clocks on my Alienware, it did much better. Now, this does have a Radeon Pro GPU, so let's take a look at some professional applications and see how it performs. In Blender, we took 232 seconds for the BMW scene, where my Radeon 7 took 83 seconds. That's not that bad of a score. In SPECviewperf 13, there is a bunch of benchmarks, so I'll let you guys pause the video and take a look at this. There is one thing to note. For some reason, the SolidWorks didn't work on the MacBook, but everything else worked out fine. Performance isn't that bad, actually. As many of you guys know, the MacBook now has a 100 watt-hour battery. As you can see, I got 482 minutes compared to my MacBook Air, which got 518 minutes. That is actually pretty good. My test is actually quite demanding, and it has a mixture of light, moderate, and a little bit of high performance workloads, so I was happy to see the battery is this good. Finally, I wanted to point out the Sidecar feature, which allows you to use your iPad as a display. I'll be using this to edit this video. This isn't available on my Retina MacBook Pro. So with all that said, the 16-inch MacBook Pro gets my approval. It's been a few years since we had a decent replacement for the Retina models, and I think this is as close as we can get. If this had something like an HDMI port and an SD card reader in addition to what it has now, I think it would be a perfect laptop. However, with the amount of dongles we see nowadays, I guess this is just something I have to accept. The laptop is still pretty thin, so an SD card reader might have been a little tough to put in there. But the performance is much better than the 2018 MacBook that I tried before. And also the GPU is not bad. As you can see, you can lightly game on this as well. With that said, I am going to do a 2013 Retina versus this laptop video next, so be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see everyone in the next one.